Afternoon again, golfers. Episode 5. If you haven't seen episodes 1 to 4, where have you been? You have to backtrack, check them out. Steve Smith here, londongolfschool.co.uk. Yeah, there's a time in a round of golf, a game of golf, a practice session where, you know, you gotta have a bit of fun. But sometimes it gets a bit serious. You've got to deal with the serious business of getting the ball in the hole. Now, to that extent, if reducing the number of shots you take when you play a round of golf is really important to you, then it might be interesting to know that even the best players in the world, 50-50 chance from about 8 feet away. So what we'll do is we'll focus on getting quite proficient from that distance and close to the hole. I'm going to organise a little setup for you that you can concoct from household items as ever. When you're putting, your eye sees the ball, sees the hole, and in the mind's eye, your imagination, your creativity. Getting the idea of the golf ball rolling into the hole to match with what you have in your mind's eye is an important element. So based on the fact that what we process through our head, at least something around about, and I'm no scientist, but scientists reckon that about 80% of it is the information that's coming in through your eyes, through your optical nerve. And those messages, that information is transmitted to your occipital lobe, which is somewhere near the back of your head, which is kind of where I think the phrase having eyes in the back of your head sort of comes from. But if that information is by and large what we use to develop our putting and improve our ability to get the ball into the hole for as few strokes as possible, as few putts as possible, it's really important to have your eyes in the right place to see what's going on. So that's why I've set this situation up like this. So you can get a consistent and a routine pattern, cutting down on the brain work, making sure that you have maximum opportunity to deal with every putt that comes up as similarly as possible, and your experience can grow from that, and by and large you probably find you hole a few more putts. Let's hope so. What we've got here is an offcut of carpet. Now everyone's got a bit of wasted carpet in the garage, haven't they? So I brought this out. I don't know what it's running at on the stimp meter, but I imagine the speed of this particular green is fairly sedate, but so you know, won't get too lively. But I've stuck a plumb line in the ground. What it is, a couple of tent pegs, a little bit of nylon cord. Probably could have hoped for a contrasting colour, but that's all I had. So that little shenanigans, you could replicate that with some wool, knitting needles. And down this end, obviously, we have the hole to determine how accurate you are. See that, everybody? Good. Anyway, so this plumb line will come in handy in just a second. I do a fair amount of my coaching in London, very often indoors, and some of the gentlemen who come to see me in London refer to this, your head, as a canister. Now, if you think of your head as being like a canister, something like this here is a can, which I have modified. Apologies to the effigy of Raheem Sterling there. Nothing personal. What I wanted to do is illustrate the way one's eyes work in relation to one's head and how that can help your putting. Raheem here is ready to putt. He's got his putter lined up with his intended target. Very important to strike the ball with a face that's pointing in the direction you want the ball to initially start, at least. Now, as you can see, most people, Raheem here giving a good illustration, will stand in their normal standing position and their head might look around the earth from right and to the left, and they might prepare to putt with their head on that sort of angle. So you can see here Raheem's forehead is further away from the ground than his chin. So when he looks towards the line, his brain has quite a hard time figuring out what the line is. It's a little bit, you know, like playing snooker with the cue, kind of, instead of looking down with your eye line directly down the barrel of the cue, you're actually looking holding the cue out to one side of your body and guesstimating really where that cue is pointing. Now, it can be done, but ideally Raheem would get his head and you might get your head, so your forehead and your chin are the same distance from the ground. So when you rotate your head and you're looking up and down that line, hopefully I'll do a decent job of illustrating here. Here we go, that's not too bad. Oh, he's checking the ball, he's checking the line, he can see the hole, he can see the ball, he can see the line. And his brain has got a very simple and, in a sense, one-dimensional awareness of that line. Not bad, Raheem, you can relax now. Cheers, mate. No problem. To be fair, Raheem, you're very much a can-do kind of a guy, aren't you? Sorry, mate. Do you can many putts? Oh, dear. So, just to reiterate, when we set up, trying to get our eye line directly above the ball, but importantly get our chin and our forehead the same distance from the ground. So when you rotate your head, obviously you can move your head from left to right at will, and you'll look at your eye lines following that line straight up, straight down. If your head's kind of somewhere over here, looking out towards the ball, when you rotate your head, you tend to be looking at the line from a perspective where your sort of brain is having to figure out, okay, how am I going to get this one into the hole, versus getting your eye line directly on top of or above that line in the best possible position to putt from. So chin and forehead about the same distance from the ground. And one of the interesting things is, if you look carefully at the old masters and the new masters, the best putters who've ever lived, invariably, not absolutely all of them, but invariably, their chin and their forehead is the same distance, or are the same distance from the ground when they putt, which gives them perhaps a better view ongoing, whether it's a natural trait, whether it's something they've specifically set out to do. Nonetheless, the vast majority do it. You get visions of Jack Nicklaus, arguably the best putter who's ever lived, in your head, and you can perhaps see that his posture certainly wasn't all that. It's probably contributed heavily to his back problems over the years, but sensational ability to see the line and see the ball going into the hole. So give yourself the best possible chance in that respect. You're going to get a view of the top hemisphere and the bottom hemisphere of the ball evenly, so you know that your eyes are directly above that ball and you're capable of looking down the line of the putt nice and efficiently, and particularly useful for making sure your putter face lines up so the ball's in the middle of the face and also the face of the putter's aiming in the direction you want it to be aiming. So practicing this at home in your free time is going to make it hopefully easier to identify whether your putter looks like it's aligned in the right position, because of course if you keep seeing it in a certain position, you're going to be able to distinguish in an ideal world what it should look like when you're putting time and time again. So let's see if we can make a couple of these little beauties. Call it an 8-footer for birdie, or maybe an 8-footer for par. We'll see how it works out, hey? Okay, let's do this. Let's see if we can make 3 in a row. If I make 3 in a row, I can go home early. I'm already at home. Okay, you know what I mean. So, well, allegedly, statistically, there's a 50-50% chance. Stop saying 50-50%. It's 50-50. Dumbass. Okay. Statistically, from about 8 feet, there's a 50-50 chance for the top players that they'll get the ball in the hole. So if I can make 3 in a row, 3 out of 3 ain't bad. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. 66%. Even if I made 1, I suppose that would be, 33 1/3% recurring, which is reasonable, I suppose. So, can he do it? 3 out of 3. If there are any chiropractors watching, don't stay in posture for 3 putts. Use 1 ball like you would on the golf course, hopefully, and hit 3 separate putts. Like take a break between each putt, stride up to the to collect your golf ball and come back. It'll take the pressure off your back and stop you knackering your back before you finally get to go and play golf for real. Here's the 3rd one. Three in a row, take 3. Problem I've got is that cup isn't regulation size.